Hi everyone, and welcome to day 16 of Lenormarch. And believe it or not, I'm recording day 16 on day 16. I've had quite a journey over the last few days and ended up scrapping 3 days worth of videos and condensing them all into one that I will be uploading shortly on day 16. Boy, oh boy, have I had some technical issues. So that's the stars, right? The internet, well, the stars weren't shining bright for me over the last few days, but it's all good. So here we are at the tower now, and when I look at the tower, I can't help but think straight away of that sense of solitude, isolation, and retreat. For some people, I imagine it might be solitude on a lonely path, and for others, it might be quite a relief that they've been able to step back and get some alone time. But more or less, we're saying the tower speaks of separating yourself from other people, from the others, from the public sector. I like the tower. I think it's that sense of like stepping back to find yourself again, and you just need that peace and quiet to do it. I did read, this is not my thing, but I did read that sometimes with this card, goals can be hard to, like it's indicating that goals may be quite difficult to reach at this time. You know, so you've got to like climb the side of the tower to get there. So it could be a challenging time in that regard. This card can also talk about establishing boundaries and parameters, being aware of them, and maybe having to change them. Other than that, it brings me to that sense of authority, that corporate sort of feel. It's a large building, so it could represent the hierarchy or anything from an airport to a university to a hospital to a prison. So it's ironic, isn't it? Because it can talk about being alone, aloneness, yet it can represent something like a shopping centre or a large office building or a movie theatre where it houses lots of people. So that's interesting in itself. I never really thought about that before. Right now I use it as either something large, like the large corporations, large buildings, or that sense of aloneness, retreat, solitude. And then we go over to the garden, which is quite the opposite. So the garden talks about groups of people, the public sector, social activities. So, you know, the advice is to get out there, socialize, meet like-minded people, do some networking, because this is under enjoyable circumstances and that sense of togetherness, which I really like. So it's a lovely card, the garden. And the question, oh my gosh, let's see if I can do this without ruining. I've still got my laptop behind me. I know. Why am I doing that to myself? There is a push-pull between these two cards of being stepped back and of being social. Are you a hermit type or a social butterfly? Are you recharged by solitude or interactions? Well, generally, I would say these days I am recharged by solitude. I've always been a soul searcher. I'm very happy to spend time alone because that's how I get my thoughts straight. But I certainly can't say I haven't been, excuse me please, I haven't been recharged by a good friend, you know, that has been there by my side in times of need. Sometimes you need to bounce off someone else and get out of your head. But generally speaking, I more or less shared this in the last video. I used to be very much a garden person, the social butterfly. I worked in an industry where you were out at a lot of gigs, concerts, plays, all sorts of things. It was fantastic. I loved it. I thrived on it. But as the years went on and I grew into a different person, really, and I prefer quiet, intimate settings now. So I've definitely moved quite a bit from number 20 to number 19. And if I'm on my own, I've never been one to feel lonely on my own. I may have periods of loneliness in my life, but it's not because I'm sitting here in a room by myself. I think that's two completely different things. You know, they say you can be lonely in a crowded room. I don't want to be a hermit on my own, you know, go out and live in the middle of the jungle by yourself forever. But so I think there's a little bit of both in me. You know, there are certain occasions where I love being out in the public sector, but the large crowds that I used to handle really, really well is something that I'm not quite as comfortable with. I think that kind of answers the question. So that's a great question, Kelly. I really enjoy that. Anyhow, it's time to move on. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye for now.